Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for coming to today's press briefing. We have quite a few things lined up for you. I'm going to try that again. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to today's press briefing. We have a few things lined up for you, so I'm going to let the mayor go ahead and get started.
Good afternoon, and as always, thank you for joining us for our weekly press briefing. We have quite a few things slated to discuss today, so I'll dive right in. As you are aware, I think a couple of months ago now, we began discussing ways of lifting the morale of our JPD officers. We often talk about the extremely important job that they have, the difficult commitment that they make. And so we've talked exhaustively about things like raising the salaries, but we had a discussion with the rank and file. Chief Wade took that responsibility to heart and met with each one of his officers. In fact, established a morale committee that looks at the issue of morale on an ongoing basis. Part of that conversation was about ways that we could demonstrate our gratitude for their effort each and every month. And what we decided is that we would have a healthy competition between precincts to ensure that the precinct that has the greatest change in their crime stats each and every month would be rewarded with a dinner. And before we announce that particular precinct, and I asked Chief Wade to come forward, I'd like to ask if Mr. Jeff Good would come forward. I knew I saw him in the back, and then the lights kind of caught me, would come forward. Mr. Good, as you are all aware, is the owner of Bravo, Broad Street, and Sal and Mookie's. He has been kind enough, as one of our local business owners, to support this effort of lifting up the morale and supporting our officers. And so in doing so, we not only want to commend him for his generosity, but we want to remind you of the wonderful restaurants of Bravo, Sal and Mookie's, and Broad Street that we all enjoy. Thank you, sir. So we thank you, and do you want to say anything about your donation?
Quickly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much. An absolute honor. Did not expect to be called to the podium. Our police force is, they are our neighbors. There are the folks that live down the street, the folks that live across town, and the folks that protect us when we need something. When we are in crisis, we call, and someone comes and helps us. So what else could I do but when asked by the mayor's office to consider doing something to benefit this contest, because I love a contest. I think it's fantastic. We do it in the restaurant business all the time. So congratulations to the winning precinct. I hope you enjoy the 3-in-1 gift card. It is good at all 3 restaurants, Bravo, Broad Street, and Sal and Mookie's. So enjoy time with us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd also like to ask if Mr. Bridges would come forward from Trustmark. Trustmark has also been very generous in this process of supporting the effort of lifting up our officers and allowing for this dinner to take place. Mr. Bridges.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Mayor. It's a privilege for Trustmark to engage in this, Chief Wade. I will not try to follow Jeff Good and giving you money. We have a lot of branches, Trustmark, so but we are pleased to be able to be a part of this, and thank you for inviting us to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Every single time I have the privilege of attending a ribbon cutting in the city, I always share that I want to, or I wish success on that business, but we want it to be a reciprocal relationship, that we want them to be profitable. We want them to be wealthy, but we want to make sure that they continue to give back to community. This is a fine example of our business community giving back, and so we're thankful. With that, I will step aside and allow Chief Wade to announce his winners.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to recognize all of the hardworking men and women of the Jackson Police Department. I say this often, but they put their lives on the line every single day so we can have a better quality of life. With that being said, today, I would like to announce Precinct 4 as the winning precinct. Please come forward. They had a 5% reduction in crime, which was outstanding work. It shows their commitment to public safety for the city of Jackson, and it shows their dedication to the citizens of Jackson. So please allow the officer to sign for their gift certificates. And thank you for your hard work. All right, do I need to cover my other stuff? Yeah. All right, we'll continue on. Stay. Please stay. First of all, I would like to also announce some leadership changes within the Jackson Police Department. One thing I've been doing the past 5 months is assessing and evaluating. As you know, I brought in 2 assistant chiefs. I named 3 deputy chiefs, and I had the pleasure of announcing precinct captains over the past week. So first, I would like to congratulate Captain William Kendrick. He is the new precinct captain for South Jackson Precinct 1. Congratulations. Thank you. Secondly, Captain Julian Loney will be retained as the Precinct 2 captain, which is downtown and West Jackson. He's doing an amazing job. I appreciate him and I commend him. The reason she was reaching for those gift cards is because she was the previous captain of Precinct 4. She has now been moved to Precinct 3 to show her leadership in Precinct 3. She's being retained as a precinct captain, Captain Jacqueline Thomas. Also, newly promoted captain of North Jackson, Precinct 4, Timothy Hudson. And also, we didn't just make change to make change. We made informed decisions. It wasn't an emotional decision, it was an informed decision. So in investigations, we have 2 new captains, Captain Chiquita Childs and Captain Warren Hull. Unfortunately, they're out at a crime scene right now, but they are new captains in investigation, so I congratulate them as well. These individuals check numerous boxes for me. The first one is ability, the second one is capacity, and the third one is a passion for people. Passion for people. Citizens and employees. Citizens and employees. I would say that our greatest resource is our human resource. I want to commend them and thank them, and I look forward to absolute greatness from you as we move forward. Thank you. Oh, yes. Yes. Another thing that we looked at, and I'm constantly evaluating and assessing, we have several policies that we have to revise, create, and change. The first one is our pursuit policy. The second one is our media release policy. The third one is our death notification. Death notification. You would think that we will have a death notification policy, but we do not. We do not. But we will as of today. The policy has been created. It has been reviewed for legal sufficiency, and training will roll out. We understand what the state statute says about the coroner and notifications, but we want to make sure that we are giving the best police service to our citizens. So we have a death notification policy that is signed as of today, and will roll out today. Thank you.
I thank Chief Wade for his hard work and also the men and women of the Jackson Police Department. Congratulations to Precinct 4. Give them another round of applause. You don't have to just win it one time either, right? So I noticed last month when, what was it, Precinct 1?
Precinct
3. Precinct 3, yeah, when Precinct 3 won and the gift cards were to Char. I've seen a lot of JPD cars up at Char for quite some time. I think they got a taste of it and even past the use of the gift cards they were going. So once again, I'm thankful to our business community, thankful for your leadership, and thankful for the hard work that y'all do each and every day. Pushing forward, another important part of what makes Jackson roll is our Jackson public school system. I want to be clear on this. Sometimes the passage of time allows for us to forget some of the challenges that we faced. We have to remember that not too far in the distant past, or the immediate past, we were under the threat of a state takeover. Our community was fearful of the repercussions of that takeover. Our community came together. We met all across the city. We knocked on doors to assess the difference between the goals and aspirations of our parents and our children, and where we found ourselves as a district. In that time, since that time, we have seen immense strides with Jackson Public Schools. They have been able to make improvements to the letter grade of the district, and they've done so not only by making changes, but by making very, very difficult decisions. We have to understand that the threat of state takeover, the threat to our accreditation as a district, wasn't just about curriculum. It was about the condition of our facilities in large part. I know that we often joke about the schools that we went to. We like to make fun because we have great pride, and the rivalries, we enjoy them. And those are important. They're important to our stories. They're important to our history. But we also have to make certain that we don't allow nostalgia to affect our children today. And it is important that we make the very best decisions for their future, and to make certain that they have the same benefit of a quality education that so many of us enjoyed. With that, I'd like to call forward Dr. Green, our superintendent, who I will be clear, I think is doing an amazing job to share an update with some of the changes taking place with JPS. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. I'll start with just, as the mayor has challenged me in the past, I do want to take the opportunity and continue to remind folks of some of the strides that we've made. We are currently sitting at a C level accountability rating from the state. That's the state's accountability level or rating. 1 point away from a B. I'd like to keep that in front of folks. 1 point away from a B. And we're very proud of that. Very proud for the growth that we've seen over time and the continued improvements that we've seen in all aspects of our operations, not the least of which the teaching and learning that's happening in classrooms and schools all over the district, all across the district. I will note that we're now at a performance level that's higher than we've seen in nearly a decade. And perhaps a little longer, but that's a lot to celebrate. And it's not just the work of the superintendent or the senior executive team, it's folks all across our district who care about our children and give of themselves and operate as professionals consistently. And so I do want to just kind of remind us of that performance level. We're not done, we haven't arrived, we know that we've got more to do. And we take that on as a serious, heartfelt commitment and area for continued growth. But I do want to say kudos to our team and all those who continue to give of themselves to help to make this school district excellent. Along with that, and as our mayor has already named, oftentimes we do have to make tough decisions. We do have to address issues that are languishing or ones that folks may not want to discuss, let alone make a decision or take some action around. And so this issue of optimization or right-sizing our district is one that I will tell you that I've been reluctant to even address, because I know from my own experiences in the schools that I attended and all of that, the changes that have taken place and the challenges around those changes. and the emotions that we have wrapped up in our schools and the histories and the experiences that we and our parents and our grandparents and others in the community have experienced. Unfortunately, that does not change our realities today. We have seen a decline in our population, a decline in our school-age children in the city, a decline in enrollment in our district. And while we're very, very proud of the progress we've made over time in the district, we know that we've still experienced these declines. And these declines are in and of themselves enough to address and reconsider and rethink how we operate. But they're also a very direct challenge to our budget, our revenues. Our schools are funded per pupil. We're funded by the number of students that we have in our schools across the district and in each individual school. And this means that as we see declines and changes to that funding, those revenues that we have in our school district, we have to respond to that. We as a district, as a community, have been reluctant to do that because we know that there's so much emotion and so much nostalgia wrapped up in our schools. Nobody wants to touch a school, let alone a high school. Nobody wants to do that. And as I talk to my peers in Chicago public schools and Kansas City, Oakland, Baltimore, you name it, all of these districts around the country, and especially urban districts, they too are facing very similar challenges where there's an enrollment decline, and you've got to respond to that. It doesn't mean that excellence should not continue to be the goal, that we shouldn't continue to strive towards meeting all of the needs of every scholar attending our schools. But it does mean that we've got to look again at our current situation. And so that's what we're doing now. I believe everyone knows, or most of the community knows, that we've presented to our school board and to the community a set of recommendations to, again, optimize or right-size our district, to operate in fewer schools so that the dollars that we do have can be concentrated in those schools, concentrated on those scholars attending those schools, to provide them with even greater opportunities for success. That's in the school buildings themselves, in the programs that we operate, in the staffing that we provide to our scholars. Stable staffing is one of the most key strategies and opportunities for us to ensure that scholars meet with success. And to the extent that we're not hiring folks on emergency licenses or have vacancies throughout the school year because we're operating in so many buildings and so many classrooms requiring so many teachers, it's an opportunity for us to level up. And so this is what we're trying to accomplish here. We also know that a part of this conversation, and one that I think many people are seriously struggling with, is, well, what does this mean for the school buildings? And so we don't have a magic potion or a magic pill to address that. We see opportunities and efforts all across the city, across the state, and many other cities in the nation to address that sort of thing. What do we do with the properties, and what are the redevelopment opportunities, all of those sorts of things. We're excited to have had some really helpful, really encouraging conversations with the city's planning office, with the Jackson Redevelopment Authority, with Housing Authority, and several organizations that are looking to operate or assume additional space in the city. And so there are opportunities for us, but these are not the kinds of things that just happen immediately. They require some time. And unfortunately, they require the kind of time that we don't have in terms of our optimization. We must make some moves right now. We're at the point where we've kicked this can down the road long enough. We've avoided the conversations and these tough decisions long enough. We now have to make some decisions, and therefore we will be coming back to the board on December the 5th, asking them to approve of the plan with the final set of recommendations. I will also note that because we've been having some conversations with community members, we've had 3 community forums already. We'll have another tomorrow evening at Murrah High School, the final one. We've gotten lots of feedback, concerns, specific recommendations. Also, lots of people who've come to us and said, thank you. I'm so glad you're doing this. It's about time. And so we've gotten all of that feedback, and so we'll be taking that into account and coming back with a final set of recommendations to the board on December 5th. Again, I'll just close with this. I hope that folks can look at the data, not just what Eric Green is saying or what this one person or that one person is saying about our schools, but look at the data. Look at the graduation rates. Look at our performance on state tests and on and on. There's lots of evidence that our schools are ramping up, that we're performing at a much higher level than we have been, and that we're seeking to prove to our community that our schools can and must work, and we're committed to that. But that also requires us to make some tough decisions now. And so just look forward to continued engagement with members of the community and, of course, with our business and others in the community who can help us to think through the redevelopment of some of our properties, because we know that the answers are there. But this is the time for us to move and to make some tough decisions. And so thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving us an opportunity to speak to some of that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. There often are moments when you're in a position of leadership, such as Dr. Green is in, where it feels like the choice between a bad decision and a worse decision. We spoke to the nostalgia and the emotion around closing schools, and that is a part of the equation. I don't want to limit it to just that. We know that when you make a decision to shutter a school, there are choices that parents have to make, distances they have to travel, changes in their own work schedule that may occur. And so we certainly want to be sensitive to all of those changes that have to happen. But at the same time, we can't be paralyzed and not make the appropriate decision. And so I'll say again, I've been thoroughly impressed with not only the job that you have done in building back our district, but also your willingness to confront difficult decisions. And so I commend you on that. And I look forward in the near future of being a part of more community discussions as we navigate our way through the very best plan. I will say this, as we've seen a decline in Jackson's population that has been happening for more than the last decade plus, one of the investments that you can make, that you can ensure or see growth return, is your investment in your educational system. It is proven that one of the primary factors that people make a decision of where they're going to live is based on the quality of the education in the communities that they're looking at. And so we want to ensure that Jackson children get the very best. I owe so much to JPS. No matter where I've gone, no matter who I've shared a classroom since I graduated, I have not felt ill prepared, because JPS certainly prepared me well. And there are so many stories that we can brag on people creating, witty inventions, algorithms and the like, that are JPS students. And so we're going to make the right decision so that we benefit our children. Thank you. Speaking of, the conversation around buildings and reimagining buildings, I think that's a good segue into our planning and development department. And there have been some exciting changes within our planning and development department. When I came into office 2017 and we were looking at a transition plan, the critique with the team was, well, historically, I don't want to talk about people who have been there for a long time, because we've had some good people working for a long time. This isn't a direct critique of them, but our comprehensive view of how we deal with things. The person who headed that up said, the problem with the City of Jackson's planning and development department is that there's been very little planning and no development, right? And I've seen a department that has embraced the challenge of change. I've seen a department that, not only in areas of public transportation, but how we revitalize communities, has really answered the call. And it is actually one of the stories that isn't shouted to the rooftops enough. We've reimagined how we're looking at code enforcement, doing it by the data, Dr. Green, understanding the significant portion of residents in Jackson who are renters, and realizing that was a big void in our process of how we are enforcing unsightly things that we see within our communities. And so we've stood up a program that allows us to deal with rental registry and better track that. And we don't want to stop there. We've talked about a home buying assistance program, which allows Jackson residents to have up to $50,000 towards the purchase of their home. Once again, that's trying to create more residents, more students that can go to our schools. And so it requires a certain commitment for how long you will reside in that home. But these are decisions that not only build our community, that change the mindset of people who now have ownership in their homes and have a new lease on life and envision life differently. And so a lot of the things that we don't like to see in community, these are the ways that you begin to help. Often when we talk about development, when we talk about communities, people think that the city can just write over a check to someone's idea. And it doesn't quite work that way. But from our 30,000-foot view, there are strategic decisions that we can make, which we believe will change the landscape of the communities we see. And so to speak more on those changes, I'd like to invite Chloe Dotson to come forward and talk about the latest program with planning and development.
Good afternoon. My name is Chloe Dotson, Director of Planning and Development for the City of Jackson. I'm overly excited today, a little tearful, because this has been a project, or I would say program, we've been working on for over 2 years. And so first, I would like to thank the Lumumba administration for believing in this program. We have not seen programs like this in the City of Jackson since probably the late 80s. When they started cutting government funding on neighborhood services type programs. So the fact that this administration believes in this program enough to fund it with staff and the necessary equipment that we need to run the program is absolutely amazing. So thank you. Also to my staff, they know me and know how I am as an urban planner, and I would like to thank our zoning administrator, Ms. Esther Ainsworth, and Jennifer West, as well as Robbie and Sandy, who are going to be monumental at making sure this program is ran effectively. And so the main goal of this program, to put it quite simply, is to bring power back into the communities, focusing on a grassroots level type planning where the average everyday resident knows the power that they have within their community and the power that they have to change their community. So the Neighborhood Services Program runs the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, which is a national program that is mostly seen up north and northern cities, but we will be now hosting this program called the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative. The Healthy Neighborhood Initiative within the Neighborhood Services Division has 4 programs. Each program has a very specific goal. You have the Healthy Neighborhood Designation, which really serves to highlight those more aesthetically pleasing neighborhoods that have a little bit more of community fabric and engagement. We also have the Targeted Investment Neighborhood, which seeks to improve neighborhoods that suffer a little bit more from code enforcement and violations and lack of infill housing, hopes to push them to Healthy Neighborhood Designation. There's also a program that I'm very excited about, which is called Government 101. Neighborhood organizations, residents, churches, facilities, schools, education institutions can come to us and actually apply for the many different educational venues or forums that we have. So Planning 101, what is permitting, what is land use, what is zoning, how to migrate through the city, who do I need to talk to in order to get to where I want to go. And then last but not least is a new program, which we're also very excited about, is the Neighborhood Improvement Program, which for the first time in a very long time allows neighborhood organizations, churches, institutions to apply for our CDBG dollars to do your own your own program. So really the entire goal is to provide resources and bring resources directly to the neighborhood so that they can be empowered to make decisions for themselves. And so very quickly, I want to have Ms. Robbie up to talk very quickly about the programs in more detail, as well as introduce the many partners that we have in order to make this program a success.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dodson, Mayor Lumumba. We're so glad to be here today to talk about the Neighborhood Services Division. I'm very excited about it because the impact it's going to have in the city is going to be tremendous. There are two passions that I know in this room that help to change this program, to help birth this program. Mayor Lumumba wants to see the city of Jackson in its full glory, and that's his first passion. Chloe, she wants to see the empowerment of the people. She's all about empowering people. So we tagged a slogan that says, Jackson's strength lies within the collective power of its people. And that's its neighborhoods. We want to see them all come together. NSD is committed to building strong, thriving, and sustainable neighborhoods through education, capital investment, increased community participation, collective power, and improved access for residents to its governing leadership. We're asking all neighborhood associations to register with our online system, OpenGov, and that's what we're doing right now so that everyone can be registered for these programs. The first one, as Chloe mentioned earlier, is our Target Investment Neighborhood. We came out with that one earlier this summer. There was a rollout for that one. We're over that program. We're managing it, and we're seeing some improvement in those areas. And you can see the different areas. There's 7 targeted areas. There's 7 of them, 1 for each ward. There's small areas where we're taking all of our resources in our interdepartmental agencies. We're taking our monies from housing and community development, code enforcement, building, business licensing, and all these different areas. And we're coming in that area, and we're going to come in and put all our resources in there once these issues have been mitigated. We know that the property owners pretty much cannot mitigate those things for various reasons. Maybe they're elderly homeowners and property owners and don't have the typical resources they need to fix it. So the brunt of that's going to fall on the city of Jackson to fix. And with that being said, we know that it's going to take several months, if not years, to get those situations mitigated. But each one of the 7 wards has a TIN in it. It's Target Investment Neighborhood, TIN. And so we're working on those. And once that one has been mitigated, we've cured that one, it's going to be another one that's going to be butted right up against it till the whole area, the whole ward has been fixed. So it's going to be a wash, rinse, repeat kind of situation for that protocol. For that one, so our next one is our Healthy Neighborhood Designation. This one, Chloe mentioned, it has incentives with it, but it also requires that the neighbors know their neighborhood. We want them to know what's going on in their neighborhood. Oftentimes we see neighborhoods or people come and they have their hands out, they want to help, they want assistance, but we want them to take ownership of where they are. We want them to take ownership of moving forward. So you first have to understand where you are in your neighborhood, and then you devise a plan where you want to go. So now we take those steps to get there. With this program, with the Healthy Neighborhood Designation Program, we're going to look at, you're going to do your own asset planning. You're going to go through that. You're going to go through your whole. You're going to find out what your parcels are, which lands which properties has vacant properties that are derelict. You need to know these things so you can devise a plan to fix those things, to move forward. And this is empowering the people. This is how we empower them. We educate them so they will have that knowledge to move forward. Neighborhood improvement program. Now this is the program that everybody wants to get to because it comes with tangible money, and everybody wants money. So we want to make sure they get that, but look how I have them numbered. You can't, the Target Investment Neighborhood, your neighborhood, Healthy Neighborhood Designation, you can't get to that one without going through those first. So you have to make sure that when you get to money, you've gone through the steps it takes to get there. You are a healthy neighborhood. And a healthy neighborhood has transportation, it's got nutrition, food sources, it's got public amenities, it's got areas for people to play and live and work. So those things are in a healthy neighborhood, but you have to get yours there if yours is not healthy. The last one, as Chloe mentioned, is our Community Education Government 101. We have 11 courses in that, people, 11 that we have devised to help the residents of Jackson become strong, to be more invested in their neighborhoods. There's 2 of them that are mandatory. That's zoning and land use and code enforcement, because without those 2, you don't know what your neighborhood is capable of doing. Your code services let you know what you can and cannot do. Zoning is going to help you to understand what the adaptive reuses of your land uses are, where you can go from that, what you've seen in your neighborhood, how it's developing, how it's moving. So those 2 are a prerequisite. You have to take those classes in order to be strong and thriving. So I mentioned the two courses that you have to take. But we want to, looking forward, as we move forward, we want to work with city council in their wards, with the neighborhoods in their wards. Because if everything can come to an NSD, everything in this neighborhood comes to NSD, we can course correct those issues that they may be having in those neighborhoods with a better methodology, with a better model. So right now I want to bring up the NSD team to come and step forward. Sandra Leba Masigo, she's our planning projects officer. Jennifer West is our senior planner, the business development officer. Esther Ainsworth, our zoning administrator. Come on, she wants to be ornery sometimes. But I also want to bring up our community partners, because with our neighborhood improvement program comes community partners, and that we have Trustmark. Trustmark has done a lot. We have Trustmark helping with the other program with the policemen, but we have Miss Melanie Braxton Horton, come forward, please. Trustmark. Charlotte Banks Flowers, come forward, and also Mr. Terrence Britton. I got it, Terrence Britton, right. These three, and these are going to be responsible for helping us with our grant match for the program and other areas that we need funding for that program. Also, a key element for the program is we need a 501c3 to run funds through. Therefore, there are a lot of people that we looked at, but a perfect fit for us was Keep Jackson Beautiful. That's Ms. Alicia Cruder. We're very glad to have her on board. These people right here are they want to see Jackson go forward. They're committed. They have demonstrated that. Also, with our Office of Housing and Community Development, Mr. Reginald Jefferson, come forward, Reginald, because we have programs that are going to come out of his office that's going to help fund down payment assistance, rehab, limited repair. We're so excited for how this all is coming together, and our law enforcement. That's going to be the key element to make sure that our neighborhoods are healthy, and they're growing, and they're sustainable, and they're thriving and flourishing. This is our neighborhood services team, and we're very happy. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for us being here. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for this partnership. Thank you. Thank you. Once again, I want to commend the Planning and Development Department on their hard work. Chloe talked about the support of the administration, but it's really easy to support ideas when you have a hard-working team, not only bringing a problem to you, but bringing a solution. And so I'm grateful for your hard work. Somewhere along the way, as a city, we've gotten into the habit of just reciting our problems over and over again, complaining about the challenges that we see. And what we ultimately are doing is we're simply admiring the problem. We're not coming forward with solutions. We're not looking at how we can be a part of fixing those problems. And so this program helps not only explain components of support to community, it invites them to be in the process. And so we want community to be engaged. Finally, I will share, this reminds me of a quote that my father had in his first campaign. It was a slogan, if you will. And the slogan was, how are we going to make Jackson rise? Educate, motivate, organize. And so we have to educate one another about what the solutions are and how we obtain those solutions. We have to motivate towards that change. We have to make sure that we keep our neighbors encouraged, that we understand that it takes each and every one of us. And lastly, we have to organize and make sure that we operate as one united front as we pursue those changes. Again, please give the Planning and Development Department a round of applause for their hard work. Just a few quick announcements before we get in the question and answer segment. I want to remind you that the Christmas Parade and City of Lights. The City of Lights and tree lighting is December 1st. That's here at City Hall. That is December 1st. And the Christmas Parade is December 9th at 2 p.m. I don't have a time for the Christmas tree lighting on here. 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock on December 1st is the tree lighting. We invite all residents to come and join us, certainly our media. And the Christmas parade is December 9th, and that starts at 2 p.m. Chris Gray, we want you to remind people to sign up to participate. So whether it's different organizations that want to be a part of that particular those events, please reach out to our Constituent Services Division. Chris, I was also going to ask you, these boards that we have here, if they can be converted into documents that when we go to our community neighborhood association meetings. Thank you so much. We want to hand them out so that people know how to participate. Lastly, we anticipate thousands of people in our city this next weekend as we look forward to the Capital City Classic. This is always an economic boost for our city. It gives our city a sense of place. We love and enjoy the festivities around the game. We want to do so, but we want to do so in a safe and enjoyable fashion. I want to let you know that I am not saying this, but our communications director has put on here, Go Braves. That is not something that I'm saying. In fact, since she has that, it brings me to mind that I'm looking for another communications director, if y'all know anybody. I know she's watching, so I want her to hear that. But I know the Jackson State Tigers. I tell people I didn't go to Jackson State. I'm not an alum, but I'm the biggest fan because when Jackson State does well, it's good for business, right? And so we're rooting for our Jackson State Tigers, and we'll have them that small town come on up here. I don't remember the name of it. Hondo, you seem to have a lot of purple and gold on. Do you remember the name of the town today? I got you. Well, we want everybody to enjoy, and we certainly are looking forward to the game. With that, any questions that you have, we're ready to take. Scott.
The city council has a meeting tomorrow where they'll be asking for the city attorney to end the litigation appeal with Richard's disposal. Your thoughts on that and the steps moving forward in that direction?
I don't have any further thoughts than what I've already expressed. You can ask for a dismissal. Every defendant in every case wants a dismissal. It's not simply that easy. You have to have grounds that the court finds to be substantial enough for that dismissal. So that's all I will say on that. I do, since you asked the question, I want to be clear that the position that I'm taking. I am not invested in a back and forth anymore. I don't want to fight. I don't want to have this confrontational trash fight that is always in the media. That doesn't benefit the residents of Jackson, and that's not where I'm going. I'm often put between a rock and a hard place in my effort not to fight and the need to provide clear information to the residents. I want to be clear that, as it has been stated, that we just want the lowest and best. Every single time, 3 times now, the administration has chosen the absolute lowest and best option. And so we will do that. I have also made it clear that, unfortunately, because we're now going into another RFP, I'll state the words of the judge from the bench with cameras present. He said, "You'll never get another price like this." Because everybody, it is very clear in the market that because the increased cost of gasoline, the increased cost of purchasing equipment like trucks, that the cost for every possible vendor is going to go up. So when you look at the lowest and best that we have had on the table versus the lowest and best that we will potentially get with the responses to the RFP, all indications point to the fact that it will be significantly higher. And it will be, unfortunately, a burden that the residents will have to bear because it is a paid-for service. We regret that. Once again, using the same mantra that I used earlier, sometimes the choice you have in a position like this is the choice between a bad decision and a worse decision. I think it is a bad decision that the residents have to pay more, but it is a worse decision if they did not have garbage collections, and so that's why we're going forward with it. Yes, ma'am.
The city has thousands of dollars worth of invoices. I'm just trying to get your reaction to that. I know that that was about 2 weeks ago that came up, and today there was supposed to be a finance meeting talking about how we resolve that. Just getting your reaction to the situation.
So she asked about the city's outstanding invoices, what my reaction to that is, and a finance meeting that was canceled. I'll take the latter question first. The finance meeting and why it was canceled, those meetings are the council's meetings. They schedule them. They make the decision of when they'll be held and when they're dismissed, right? So they would have to answer, I don't know if they could get a quorum. I believe that is my understanding. And so they would have to speak to that. In terms of the question of outstanding invoices, I want to be clear because there's been an effort to politicize this, right? And we should know that. First and foremost, the list that was initially published to the media was inaccurate. It was not a proper reflection of all of the invoices that were out there. And we were saying at the time that we were in the process of collecting data. Because we have Harvard fellows that the administration has brought on in order to make certain that we create a more sound procurement process. The city of Jackson has always had procurement challenges. A lot of cities have procurement challenges, not only in the sense of making sure that people are paid in a timely fashion so that small businesses have the operating capital to continue to work, but also understanding what are decisions that we can make so that minority businesses or small and disadvantaged businesses can take advantage of potential opportunities so that they can grow their capacity. And so a part of that procurement track that we're working with Harvard in order to build was to gain the data and making sure that we validated that data so that they could work on that. I believe that the council became aware of the data that we were collecting and prematurely asked for a number that was not validated. And so we've already identified that many of those invoices, some were not already due for payment, some just weren't the most accurate information. And so, in our effort to improve, any debate we should have should be on the basis of progress and not victory over one another. And so that's what I feel about it. And we will continue to work as we had already started to work to ensure that we strengthen the city's procurement practices. All hearts and minds are satisfied? Scott, you said you ain't got nothing else, huh?
I'm good.
Okay. Do you want to ask me about the Detroit Lions?
No, I really don't. My Saints struggled, so I won't talk about it.
All right. You say that again?
My Saints struggled, so I'm really upset about it.
Well, this may be unpopular in Jackson, but it's not often that I can say this as a Lions fan. The Saints will really struggle on December 3rd when the Lions come to town. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Robbie has all these pronounced.
Yeah.